we will be writing unisons, octaves, fourths, and fifths. So when you're working with the unison, let's just use our logic and what we know about the unison. If you are given an F and you are writing a perfect unison, you simply write another F. If you're given an F sharp and told to write a perfect unison, you're going to write another F sharp. Okay? If you are given an F, or let's do a G, and you are writing an augmented unison, you need to write a unison, but then you need to raise or lower it a half step. So we can put a sharp there for augmented, or you can even add a flat here for augmented. Remember, there is no diminished unison. Let's write octaves. You can use your keyboard picture. You could use your major scale. You can also sort of think logically here. So if I give you a B flat and I ask you to write a perfect octave, then you will find the B flat up here, and that is your perfect octave. If I give you a B flat and ask you to write an augmented octave, you can, let's you do it two ways. We can start with what we know perfect looks like, which is a B flat to a B flat. And then we know that augmented is a half step bigger. So I move my hand away from my other note, which would be getting rid of the flat. I can write it that way. I can also think, if I'm writing in pencil, and I recommend it, if you're writing an augmented octave above B flat, let's start with the perfect interval, and then know that I have to raise this note a half step for it to be perfect. How do I raise a note that has been flatted? I just get rid of the flat. Okay, writing octaves. Let's talk about fourths and fifths. You're going to be using your major scale for fourths and fifths. Let's be in the bass clef in both here. I'm going to give you, let's give you a B flat and have you write first a perfect fifth. Let's write an augmented fifth above that, and also a diminished fifth. Remember how we're going to do this? We're going to take the note I give you, find that major scale, and check it on your major scale assignment. I'm going to write just the first 5 notes, because I'm writing a fifth here, of the B flat major scale. Why am I looking at the B flat major scale? Because this is a B flat. This will give you the information that you need. Looking at our B flat major scale. So if I'm writing a perfect fifth, all I have to do is go to the B flat major scale and write the 5th note of that scale, and I am done, because I know that all of the interval, the fifths between the first note and the 5th note of every major scale, this distance is always a perfect fourth. This distance is always a perfect fifth, no matter what scale we're looking at. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I write my note, and I'm done with perfect. If I'm writing augmented, I'm still going to look at my scale, write the perfect note, okay? And then don't change the note I give you. You have to make your note work with mine. Augmented is a half step bigger, so you're going to have to raise your note a half step for it to be augmented. So how do we raise an F? So remember, with our accidentals, if we want to raise a note a half step, we add a sharp. If we want to lower a note a half step, we add a flat. So we're going to add a sharp to this one, and it is going to be a half step bigger than this one, which is perfect. For the diminished, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, write the perfect interval or my major scale note, lower my note a half step by adding a flat, and I have a diminished fifth. Unless C is your bottom note and you have no sharps or flats in that scale, you have to think your scales to do this correctly. It's not logical unless you're using the C major scale, because all of the other scales have sharps and flats. in them. Let's do one more example. We'll be in the treble clef this time. And I'm going to stick again with the same scale so we can compare. Let's use the F major scale. So I'm going to have F as my bottom note, and let's do this one. Let's see. Let's have you write a perfect fourth, a augmented fourth. And whatever note I give you, this is the major scale you're looking at. So in this case, it's going to be the F major scale. I'm going to write the first 5 notes because that will cover what we need to know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's the first 5 notes of our F major scale. If we're writing a perfect fourth, I simply go to this scale and write the 4th note. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my perfect fourth. If I'm writing an augmented fourth, I'm going to go ahead and write my perfect interval by copying my major scale interval exactly. If this is perfect, I must raise my top note a half step. How do I raise a note that's flatted? By taking away the flat, and I have an augmented fourth.